Hello, folks, and welcome to Drone Therapy, Season 3, Episode 31, with our guests, none other than Marcus Crawford and Ron Brown, ZinoNation, with us again tonight. Glad to have you, folks. Glad to have you, folks. And as always, you can see Ethan Mitchell here. He got the heat going. If you need any heat advice besides drone and camera advice, please contact Ethan Mitchell. John's taking this week off to spend time with family. He's kind of been spreading himself thin here lately, so he's going to take a break this week, and we're going to have everybody in. And to start things off, I'm going to throw things over to Ron so that him and Marcus can catch us up on all the Zino news. And I heard something about firmware. Ron.
Thank you, Bill. Hope everybody is having a good evening tonight. I see we got some people in here to chat already. It's going to be a big show tonight. We've got a special Zino show going on here. I won't reveal too many details yet, but it's going to be very interesting. I hope we get some of our Zino people in here. But I do have a little teaser for you in a drone. It's not the Zino, the little Mavic Mini got its own firmware update today. So we'll get into that more in the show too. So I will throw it over to my cohort on ZinoNation, Marcus Crawford, who's in the house tonight with us.
Hey, how we doing, guys? So, Ron, you brought up the Mini first, so let's get that out of the way. I actually updated and did a flight test on that, and I'm in the middle of editing that video right now, and they did correct. I'll give you a spoiler. They corrected all of those issues with the power warnings and all of that business. So that's good. But with regard to the Zino, yeah, there's been some firmware updates for the Zino, and a lot of people like the older version of firmware 1.1.52. I think that's perfectly legitimate. If that's working for you, stay with that firmware. I've updated to the latest version, which is 1.2.05, and that gives you the added functionality of a warning if you have a bad battery. Peter Martin posted a really good video, and it gives you time. It will give you some warning that you have an advanced battery as the battery is failing, and it'll give you a chance to land it before you lose your drone. So then one of the things they messed up on is the gimbal firmware. They gave us gimbal version 3.0.2.8, which I don't know. Evidently there's different versions of the Zino. I don't know, but I can tell you on mine, it messed up the horizon on it. So it was a very simple thing to roll back to the previous version. And in fact, I got a hold of Hubson, and that's exactly what they told me to do. So I reverted back to version 3.0.2.2, and that gave me my good flat horizon back. And then the camera firmware, the FPV firmware in this latest release, Hubson themselves, instead of their previous version of V0.3.8, in their new release, they put the older version, the one that we've all seen and works the best, version V0.3.6. And that's exactly what I have in my Zino right now. I have flight control version 1.2.05. I have gimbal version 3.0.2.2 and FPV version V0.3.6. And I personally have found that works the best for me. I'm not saying that anybody has to do or update or do whatever they want. I mean, if you like your older version of the firmware, stick with it. It's good. Personally, I like updating to whatever the latest firmware is, and so that's what I do, and then report what I see. That was probably more information than you wanted, wasn't it, Bill?
No. Actually, that's not even scraping the surface is what I want to do. I'm not trying to say my eyes aren't the greatest in the world, but I exactly wanted to know even people in the chat's opinion. Jody, good to see you. I saw it says hi, Coast to Coast Drones Build just pop up there. Ron Brown, Crazy Cajun, Parks and Tech, David Smith, Okie Tom. Let me see who else. I pretty much covered everybody that's actually. Oh, Chris Hope. Good to see you. Good to see you. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. Caught up, I do believe. Thank you. All righty. But what I was wanting to do was, yes, just exactly that. What everybody here that's on the panel that owns a Zino, what their opinion is for the best controller software, the best flight controller software, and the chat. Because I'm not trying to say, and then I would like everybody, not just everybody here, but people in the chat, people on YouTube, people that fly Hubsan drones to throw in as much input as possible. Because I like this little drone. I think we all like this little drone. And for the money, it's really hard to beat this little drone. I mean, even with the little teeny tiny, 249, which I understand, in some countries like Canada and stuff, it's great for them. But it's a phenomenal 4K bird, and I think it has a lot going for it. So let's try to put together the best kind of firmware for each device with the help of the chat, with the help of the people here in the panel and anywhere and everybody out there. I don't want to say that anything's perfect, but it would be better if we came up with something that we didn't see drones falling out of the sky. Right.
Absolutely agree.
Yep.
Okay, so the biggest thing is everybody, hey, Jay, good to see you, man. Glad to have you in the house. The biggest thing, I guess, is you want to have the one that tells you about the battery, of course, right? So that's the...
Personally, I do. A lot of people say not to, Bill. So, but personally, that's something I'd want to know.
So it's a bad thing?
Well, let me interject real fast, Marcus.
Okay, I don't know.
Yeah, what we don't know, this is speculation, but we've heard that until they update the app, which Marcus not here, the iOS and Android app will be updated soon. Until that app gets updated, you won't be able to see, the battery measuring capabilities that the new firmware update supposedly offers. Again, I'm giving you all rumor here, Bill. This is all may not be true, but that's just the word out there that you need the new app update in conjunction with a new flight control update to get that battery meeting. And I'm going to throw it back to Mark.
Let me update you on that, Ron. So if you look at that latest video that Peter Martin put out, he shows very clearly he's got a bad battery. That new firmware gave him warnings on there in time that he brought his drone back in and was able to hand catch it. So, yeah, I know, Ron, you're correct. They told us that there would be some functionality in that app. I don't really know what that is yet, but I can say that if you look at Peter Martin's demonstration, it did work.
Yeah, I was going to say, hey, Kenny Cardoso, glad to have you in the house. Jay Santiago came in. I shouted at him as soon as I saw him pop in here. Yeah, because I saw exactly what you're talking about. That was the one that you posted in all kind of 2 or 3 places, right, Marcus? And you can see very plainly, and he even shows how, he's tested it on that rack he's built, right? Maybe even be on the bed or something the way he's got it looks like. And then he's testing it without props. And then you can tell the power cuts out. He says, yeah, and if I was up at X feet, what would happen? Your drone would be on the ground right now. So it obviously showed something because it said insufficient power, very similar to what you see kind of on the Mavic Mini before the firmware update.
Well, and then he demonstrated it in the air, Bill, at the very end of that video.
Yeah.
He showed, he took that same battery and he goes, hey, look at this warning. So he starts bringing it back in close, and he literally held the thing hovering up above him. And as it quit, he hand caught it. It was actually kind of cool.
Oh, wow. Oh, Kenny wanted to ask you real quick, Ron, how's the Mini treating you? Hi, Hubsan Choice. Did you hear me, Ron?
Yes, I did. Real good, Kenny. I did the update today, but I haven't flown it like Marcus. But so far the Minis, even with the small little problems it has, it's still a great drone.
Sorry, Ethan, I'm not lying. I constantly gripe at Gage about this. I tell him what we need opaque comments from the chat. So I do tell him, but he's got a couple other surprises he thinks are a little more important right now. So maybe a little bit better quality stream. Shh, no, we didn't say that here.
Hey, let me tell Kenny one thing. Kenny's our kind of like a video maestro or whatever, and he still uses a Spark. He makes Spark look like it's the Mavic 2 Pro or whatever.
But the Spark is for sale, man.
But Kenny, I do have to say I like the video a little bit better out of the Mini, even though you don't have the manual controls. That it has a few manual controls that are kind of hidden, but it's not as controllable as Spark. I do like the video better, and the pictures I'm going to say are pretty much equal on par. But sorry for the interruption, Bill.
No, look right down there. What's that say?
Oh, it's for sale.
Yeah, it's been for sale because he wants a Mini.
Well, guess what? My Spark going to be for sale soon, so don't undersell me, Kenny.
Wait a minute. What's this? There's a guy that lives in my town that lost his drone that everyone is talking about. What drone might that be? Is it the Mavic Mini?
How about the Skydio 2?
Oh, no, surely not.
Yeah, he's saying the Mavic Mini. That's interesting.
Oh.
The thing is, did you guys happen to watch Dustin Dunhill's latest video where he has it in the wind and he literally shows that thing getting blown backwards in the wind? So, it's not the most powerful drone. So I guarantee you there's going to be people that lose it.
Oh, yeah, for sure, yeah. Because it's not, and that goes right back to what we were talking about, the Hubsan Zino. For the price, man, and the power that's packed in that little camera, it's hard to beat because you can throw it up in about any wind you want to, and it's gonna hang tough as long as the battery's cool. I mean, what do you all think? What do you all think? Seriously?
Well, I think the that the Mavic Mini, what they had to do to get the weight down and get that flight time out of it, going with those lithium-ion batteries instead of the lipopolymer. You're just not going to get not yet anyway. You're not going to get the kind of power that that those motors need to fight wind. So
now don't get don't get me wrong or whatever. The Mini, I mean, for its size, it's remarkable in the wind. I mean, it's people who fly with the expectation that it's going to be the Mavic 2 are the ones that are surprised. If you fly, get out there and you got to be careful of the wind. I mean, in a moderate wind, it flies great. I don't know what you consider moderate wind, but you have to get up there above like you have to be 15, 20 miles per hour before you see it resisting a little bit. You have to be at 25 before you can't move or whatever. So it's much better than it looks in the wind. Unless you take it out in real gusty winds, you're pretty much going to be okay. And even then, if you just want to fly it up close and get some shots and get back down again, it'll be fine. Just don't take it, a mile away in 20 plus mile per hour winds and try to fly back into a headwind. So again,
this little booger shreds wind.
I wonder what would happen if you did a wind test between those two.
Oh, I guarantee you that this would shred it to pieces, man.
Oh yeah, probably, definitely.
It would eat it up, man.
Here's a simple thing that I'll tell you with the Mini, and Ron flies one, so I'll be interested in his opinion. But if you see that wind warning, just keep it. Either land it or keep it in close to you so that you can retrieve it, and it gives you a wind warning on the app. The mistake that I made in my video was I was ignoring it and I flew it out there, way out there. And, that was not smart, quite frankly. And as long as you, heed that wind warning, you're going to be fine.
Hey, we all remember, what's Joe DJ's name? Hey Kessler. We all remember Hey Kessler's videos before it came out. He's flying over the Hudson River, and that wind is moving. You can just hear it or whatever. And the Mini's right up there. So we kind of all got overconfident by that Hey Kessler video that showed up about a week before it arrived to regular people.
Well, if also, I'm making excuses, I know. But the darn thing it flies so much like a bigger Mavic, it kind of fooled me. But make no mistake, it does not have the kind of power that the bigger Mavics have. Had I been in that same situation with my Mavic 2, that thing would have stood on its nose and come home at 35 miles an hour. So it's just a very different situation. And Ethan explained it very, very well. It's just never going to be, it is what it is.
I want to say one thing real quick. I want to say hi to Roger. And caps are okay, Roger. In case you didn't notice, we're all wearing glasses. We can see better when they're all caps. So that's perfectly fine. Okay, so any of these subjects that we're bringing up so far, anybody in the chat wants to bring up more about them, that's perfectly fine. I'm going to try to pay more attention to the chat. I don't know if y'all saw a minute ago, Bill, the drone reviewer, brought up about how Kelly Shores did the leaf blower test with the Mavic Mini.
That was awesome.
Yeah, talk about that in a second. I got to go see what I think my wife yelled. Okay, go ahead.
Well, okay. So what he did is he had a leaf blower up, and he had it right in front of the Mavic Mini, and he gradually came closer and closer. And I can't remember. He had an anemometer there so you could see the wind velocity, and I can't remember how fast it was, but it was really fast. But in the Mini's defense, it would flip it sideways, but it never turned it over and it never crashed it. So anyway, it was interesting, and it was a fun test. That's what I'll say.
Hey, Bill's back now. Bill, would you highlight Matthew Cundiff's comment in here? He's a little tale of woe here.
So I got my Mavic Mini today. Went to fly it. The gimbal won't budge.
Got messed up in shipping. So boy, he's disappointed. I would be disappointed also. Matt, was the gimbal guard not on when you opened the box up?
Oh, he says it was lodged and loose when he took it out.
Okay.
Who did you get it delivered from? And hey to Matt, sorry that you had to come back and say that. Let's see. Oh, DeMarco, good to see you. Chris, Hope, glad to see everybody in the house. Yes, Bill was talking about the firmware for the Mavic Mini. The guys were bringing that up too. We'll bounce back and forth across the. So I don't know if it's going to address what he's talking about. He's basically making it sound like it broke loose, right? It sounds like it's actually dislodged.
Yeah. He used the word. He just has gotten messed up in shipping. So I'm going to say it's like you said, dislodged may be the.
Well, I'd be calling whoever brought it to my house and saying, you need to be coming and picking this up and getting me the right one. Because this one ain't mine. It's yours.
Right. I wonder if the box was crushed or damaged. If the box is perfect, then it's whoever we bought it from's problem, at Best Buy or DJI. But if the box is beat up, then maybe it's the carrier's issue.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, you need to be either getting with the carrier or telling, DJI, you need to be sending me a new bird pronto. Because I mean, if you just got it today, man, I'd be sitting outside Best Buy going, shh. Hey, can I just swap it out, man? I promise I won't tell nobody. And then you can just send it back. They'll give you one tomorrow. They will.
Hey, Bill, I think what Bill the drone reviewer was referring to was on the Mavic Mini. It had the gimbal problem. If you flew it in, I keep hating to say high wind, but if you fly it in too much wind, we'll say it was an issue where the gimbal, and I've had it happen, and more people have too, where it forces the gimbal down. And then somebody gave me the trick that it gave me some kind of a fix. If you just, I forget what they said to do, but somebody told me a way to fix it. I mean, I just kept bringing it back up again, but they had some other way. But if the wind would force the gimbal down, but I think that what Bill's referring to, he hopes his firmware fixes that issue. Marcus, did you get a chance to test that on your flight today?
Well, so let me say this. I didn't have any gimbal issues today, Ron, but there was virtually no wind when I was flying. So, I can't say for certain, but that is one of the things that they said they were addressing in that update.
Good.
Have you guys seen any of the videos where the legs are breaking in crashes?
No.
Yeah, there's been a few of those out, but I think that's to be expected because the plastic is so thin to get that weight down. So if you have a significant crash, there might be a good chance one of your arms is going to break.
Well, the other thing, Ethan, is that gimbal is, I think that thing is really fragile too. I mean, let's face it, the whole thing, it's not going to be very robust. So
Right.
it is to be a little more careful with it.
Yep. And, you know, I think that's, you know, one of those things that you have to realize if you have to have a drone that's under 250.
Right.
And the ironic part of the whole thing is when the Spark came out, people beat the Spark up for not having folding arms and
Right.
can't fold it. But the Spark was a little tank. It was
Right.
a tank.
Yeah.
And now the Mini comes out and it's a little thinner, a little more fragile, but the arms fold. And now people are beating it up because it's not the tank the Spark is. I mean, what you can't have your cake and eat it too applies in this situation. You know,
they can still give us a Spark too. I'll be happy with the little tank. Give me a tank with a good 4K gimbal on it and a super battery. I mean, you can even make it about half an inch longer if you want to and give me a little bit bigger battery. I'll be fine with that.
Hey, Bill, so you brought it up. Let me throw this at you. So why did they call this drone the Mavic Mini? Why wasn't it something like the Spark 2 or something like that? Because it seemed like they were kind of – are they just ignoring the Spark brand that they built now? I mean, I thought it was kind of a good idea when they separated that brand from the Mavic. What do you think?
I think it was just because we all, forgive me, you know, griped and moaned and said we wanted a drone with folding arms and teeny tiny because everybody, like Ron was pointing out, oh, it's not, not folding arms, and we really want that because we were teased with the Mavic. And now everybody realizes just how durable and how, people have dropped that drone in water, pulled it out, thrown it in some rice, and then took it out a week later and flown it again and dropped it in water and dropped it in rice and then took it out a week later and flew it again, you know? I mean,
yeah. I think it was a branding decision. They saw how successful they were when they released the Mavic Pro. And then the Mavic 2 was a raging success and still is. And so I think they're just building off of that. I think the Mavic series as a whole just blew everything away, even when it came to the Spark. That's even why I think they went with the Mavic Air. They were building on that brand name.
Yeah.
So Ethan, I'll expand on what you were saying. Their marketing department probably knows more than we do about what their best sellers are and about what they should name something. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I don't know about OcuSync, buddy. That's how you gonna pack all that in that size of a package.
Yeah, and the power that it takes to, for OcuSync. That's a.
I think they could give us 4K. I think they could give us 4K, but I don't know about OcuSync.
Oh yeah, they definitely should have put 4K on that thing. I think they should have done it.
Hey,
yeah, they should have.
Can't hurt the sales of the Mavic Air though.
Yeah, but it's obsolete. The absolute Mavic Air is done. The flight time's not as good as all these other drones that are cheaper than it,
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Even though it's got a better camera on it, man. Even though it's got a better camera. And I don't care. I've seen people putting the Air up against the Mavic Mini. And I'm like, no, man, I don't care what you say. There's no way in hell. There's no way.
It's just the price difference in the two. And
yeah, exactly. Well, that's it. The flight time and the price difference. But as far as what you're getting, quality you're pulling out of one bird as compared to the other, there's not a comparison.
Oh, yeah. I think if you're going to compare anybody, and it's still not even a good comparison, it'd be the Anafi to the Mavic Mini.
Hey, Ethan, so I'm glad you brought that up. So today I flew the Mini out at Heroes Park. You guys have seen me fly out there quite a bit. And there's a spot that I go to when I have the Anafi out there that, man, I get all those Wi-Fi interference warnings and stuff. And it'll even lose FPV altogether. I believe I still have the control signal, but I lose FPV altogether. I had the Mini out, and I flew that exact same route today, and it was just solid as a rock the whole time. And I love the Anafi, but that Wi-Fi interference, I mean, is there anything they can do to resolve that?
Probably. I actually don't have, I almost never get any kind of interference with mine. And I don't know if it's just I don't know if it's different kind of frequencies in my area or whatnot, but I always recommend to people, make sure you have your phone in airplane mode with the Wi-Fi off, and then make sure your connection, that you're using a good cable from your phone to the controller. And I almost never have a problem. If I really want to send it out really, really far, and I know I'm going to go far, then I will go into settings and switch it to the 2 gigahertz mode.
Uh-huh.
There you go.
But I'll be interested in what Ron says too. So like if I take my Anafi and I'm out in the country away from anything urban at all, and just like you described, gosh, I've had it way out there and it's solid as a rock. It really is affected, I believe, I'm not no expert, by other Wi-Fi signals in an urban environment.
Yeah. Now I don't have near the problems Marcus does have, but I do have them. Like I did a test back in the spring when I first got the Anafi, and I tested with the little hubs of Zino, and I flew them in the same exact spot, back to back flights, and where the Anafi saw Wi-Fi interference, the Zino didn't. In the same exact spot, the Zino had no interference whatsoever. So I knew it was the drone in that case and not any other environmental things. I didn't change channels or anything like that. I was just flying them both on automatic. But I don't have the problems Marcus does. More often than not, I fly the Zino without any problems. And as I think I try to get across to people, a lot of people think just because the Anafi loses FPV that you don't have control of the drone anymore and they bring it right back. That's not the case. All you do is lose the FPV signal. If you keep going, I usually gain the FPV back again at some point, and sometimes I get it back and it stays back for the rest of the flight. So don't be confused to think if your Wi-Fi if your FPV goes, that you no longer don't have control of the drone. That's one of the keys. You fight through that. Maybe you're going over a house with a lot of hot spots and an apartment building, whatever. Just fight through it or whatever, and you can usually continue your flight, because if you actually do lose signal to the controller, then it'll do the return home, come home anyway.
Yep. I like to build on that actually. And this is something that a lot of people have asked me about. So it usually happens with iPhones more than an Android phone. What will happen is some of the newer iPhones have a different kind of security protocol that's on the USB, on the Lightning port. So what happens if the app, when it tries to refresh or update, like while it's running, sometimes the security feature on the new iPhones will kick out that FPV feed. And the way you could tell it's doing that is that if you have really good signal and then your FPV just drops out to a black screen, then that's the phone. But if you see the signal if you see it starting to break up, like it's getting pixelated, that's when you're getting like the range is being affected. So
I've actually had it both ways. So
right.
And when it goes blank, and somebody told me this, maybe it was you, Ethan, but the solution is you just unplug and plug back in, and boom, it comes right back.
Right. Yep. And so I have several different iPhones that I use for older phones that I use for testing. It never ever happens with the iPhone 6. The iPhone 6 is rock solid. It's never had a glitch. It almost always happens on my iPhone 7 and my iPhone 8. And just those two phones seem to have like issues with it. My buddy of mine that I use his iPhone 10 quite often. I've never had a problem with the 10 either. So,
well, okay, let me jump back in real quick. I just want to roll through the chat real quick again. Catch up on some names. I want to see if I get this right. Nambi FPV. I'm not sure. I want to make sure. RC Fun Diversions. Floyd Moats. Greg Pittman. If I call your name once again, then it's okay, because I'm just, old and forgetful. Kenny Cardoso's in the house. Chris is in the house. Bill's going to bed because he had to go to the dentist today and he's awful sleepy, so he's going to check out. Matthew Condiff still with us. And Roger's still talking to everybody. Greg's still talking to everybody. Adrian Mateo Drones. Good to see you in the house. Jay's still talking. Adrian's still talking. RC Fun Diversions is still talking to everybody. Jay Santiago said, "Hey, Roger," back in about 15 minutes ago. Let me see. I'm going to catch him right back up. I see it's got Drone Life RC here in the house. Okay. It looks, I think I've covered everybody that's here so far. And I will throw it back to you guys. First, wait a minute. Now that you've given, wait a minute. Ron, go ahead.
I was going to say, I wonder if you've got the adapter for the iPad mini for the Anafi, whether this is the iPad mini 4, and that's probably as old as some of the phones Ethan just mentioned, like the iPhone 6 or 7. I wonder if this would be a device that you would get less Wi-Fi FPV breakup, since this probably doesn't have the security protocols of the new phones.
Yeah, it could be. That kind of thing. Since I started flying drones since day one, one thing I noticed across the board: the device you're using makes such a huge difference in your experience. So if you've got a, like, say, like a Huawei phone or like some off the wall brand, you know, there could be a chance that that app isn't designed to run with its operating system that well. So, and that makes such a huge difference in your flight experience and how well the drone performs across the board.
Very good point, Ethan. Very good.
That's absolutely true. The other thing that we need to say, you know, if we're talking about the Anafi and the Mini, the Anafi is 10 times the drone is the. I mean, it flies just as good, and it's feature rich and has so many more things you can do with it. My only gripe is with that Wi-Fi. If not for that, man, that thing is golden.
Yeah, if they come out with a second version that's got, like, you know, the long range stuff on it, like, you know, some version of OcuSync or whatever Alltel's using, I think, you know, and maybe a little bit more durable frame with a, you know, just a little bit better camera, man, that's going to be an awesome drone.
Well, guess what, Ethan? They say that the Anafi, the Enterprise one, has a more durable frame and legs already. So they already have that frame in place. And I bet you that FPV one that came out in the fall got the frame of the Enterprise one also. So the frame's already in place.
Yeah. If they can switch over to a different Wi-Fi system or, you know, different like actual radio system, I think that thing's going to be awesome.
Hey, Ethan, I got another question for you.
Yeah.
So one of the coolest things that I found on the Anafi on that last update was race mode.
Yeah, oh
my God, is that fun? Now just to fly around, video, it's going to be tilting and everything, but I'm saying just to go fly around with it, at least for an old guy like me, it gives me kind of the feeling of what the FPV guys might feel. You know?
Yeah, it's very, very, very close. I mean, it's not going to do the flips and the rolls and stuff, but as far if you crank up the global reactivity feature now, if you crank that all the way up, so it's extremely reactive to your controls, I mean, that it feels very, very close to it. And
it's just a riot. Have you tried that yet, Ron?
I have. I remember I did the stuff right away. I tried all the modes out right away. Yeah. Again, it's very fun to fly, and I should do more of that footage. Hey, Bill, we got Whizbang 99 in the house with us now. That's Ken.
Yeah, we were talking back and forth a little bit earlier, and he was like, yeah, he was going to come in. And since he's here and he was talking about ZinoNation would live forever, I'm still going to go back to the fact that for the price point, I don't think you're going to find even the Mavic Mini at 249 grams. I know you can fly it in Canada without registering it. I get that part of it. But I don't think for the money you're going to find a better drone anywhere for that price.
There's no doubt, Bill. There is one caveat there, and Ron has it for you. He'll tell you.
Well, it's only if you're buying it for yourself and you own a whole bunch of drones, it's not that big of a caveat. But if you're a first-time drone user, you're buying it for a gift. You had that thing where, you know, if you get it and if something's wrong with it, it's hard to contact the seller like Banggood or GearBest. You know, hard to get it replaced, hard to get service or whatever. You know, where if you buy the Mini for somebody for a Christmas present, you just walk it right back to Best Buy or send it back to Walmart or whatever, and you got another one or you got your money back. So that's the only caveat that this is, you know, this is a little bit hard from that point, and also doing the updates. Yeah, right. This is Marcus, man. You first off, you want to do the updates, all you have to own a Windows-based computer, and we know a lot of people now only have cell phones or iPads or tablets or whatever. Not everybody has a computer anymore. But you do need a Windows-based computer and not a Mac. If you have a Mac, a cell phone or tablet, you're out of luck. You have to have a old school Windows computer, and that's all I have to say on that matter.
Boom.
Okay, and I want to just holler back out in the chat. We got Down the Rabbit Hole Travel is in the house. Yes, I see Whizbang was talking about. Was Roger taking off, or was Whizbang taking off? Anyway, I'm not sure which way. Glad to see everybody and have you in the house. Now, here I want to switch gears yet one more time and talk to the people who are worried about Skydio. We already know, yes, they are for sure shipping the drone as we speak. The people in batch one, probably in the next, within the next week to week and a half, even the people at the end of batch 1 should have their emails. But we're not sure at all about the controllers and the beacon and the batteries. We hope to God they're not all sold out. But you can speak directly to Skydio. If you go to their webpage and you go to where it says support on their webpage, you scroll down to the bottom of the webpage and it says chat with us. They usually talk to you within, I think the longest I've had to wait was like 2.5 minutes. And there's always somebody there. They're quite frank with you too. If you say, hey, there's a rumor floating around, so because I've gotten kind of quite, chummy with Willie. Willie is pretty blunt and frank with me about everything that goes on. I started speaking to John today. He's pretty cool too. But this is how it started, because I'd never seen John before. So I type in, oh, this is going to make you laugh. How is it that I know which batch my drone might be in? And he says, okay, what's your order number? So I type in my order number and he goes, oh, you're in batch number 1 and they've already started shipping. You should be hearing from us very soon. And I said, and I typed back, did you like how I did that there? He started laughing. He said, all right, man, have a good day. But yeah, stuff's going out the door. So the only thing is I'm hoping, because Willie kind of said if we ordered, when we got the drone, if we ordered the peripherals, that we could still get them because they were allotted to us. But then again, if you look on their website, it says that you're not going to get either the beacon or the controller until late December. The only thing that is available now is the batteries.
Oh, well, what I have to say is that if I can't get a controller or beacon, I got to fly it with my phone. At least I don't have to worry about hitting anything, since I'm not a very good phone flyer.
Well, in the video that Kyle put out, that's all he uses is his phone.
Yeah.
When he was showing us all the highlights and all the settings and everything, that's all he had was his phone.
Yeah.
And unless you push the drone really far away, the phone should be ample enough to keep up with you.
I mean, I know this is a dumb question, but do we have any idea how much range it has with just the phone? Like, usually, typically, even a good drone, that's only like 300 meters.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, when I had the Mavic Pro Classic, well, I still have the Mavic Pro Classic. I think I did a video. I know I did a test. I did my video. I flew it with a phone, and I think I got 300 meters with the Mavic Pro.
Well, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that Sean was here. Did y'all see that?
I did.
Okay, I didn't even hear you call it out. Hey, how long has he been here? I was just sitting here listening to y'all jam away. Cool to see you in the house. Hadn't seen you before. Ron and everybody speaks highly of you. That was at Spin Up. It was good we heard you got to hang out with Ken Dono. It seemed like y'all had fun when y'all were up but I think that Ken doesn't like bats. Maybe Ken doesn't like bats all up, because it seems like he was rather upset in that video. Okay, next subject. We're back on the Skydio, and we've been talking about what all else? Oh, anybody got anything else on the Evo 2?
Well, I can't wait.
Yeah, really. I'm glad that I didn't jump into the Mavic mini pond.
I think that my thing with that, I just hope they learn from their errors with the original, with their release, everything like that. And I hope they bring it out in early next year. So that's going to be huge. The 6K, 8K. Now we're talking.
Yeah, but what kind of computer are you going to have to build to process that?
No problem. You won't have a problem with it.
With 8K footage? Guarantee it. Okay. How are you going to store all that on that drone?
Hard drive.
128 gig. I don't think it's going to be as bad as people think it is.
I hope they don't compress it.
Well, they're going to have to. If they do it, they're going to use the HEV or the HVC EC codec. I bet they're going to be, which technically is better than your standard.
HEIV 265 or whatever.
Yeah, H265. That's going to compress it, but you don't really lose any information. It actually gives you compression. Yeah. Right. It's actually it's a more efficient way to do the codec.
Yeah. the letters even stand for high efficiency, right? It's not even just random things. It actually stands for high efficiency. Hey, I want to throw what Bill said a minute ago. He said, "How are you going to, edit this video, whatever?" You know what? Whatever the next iPhone is that comes next year, the iPhone 12, it'll be able to handle 8K video.
Oh yeah.
Your computer may not do it, but the phone in your pocket will do it.
So so I've got a 2016 MacBook Pro. So it's nothing crazy, brand new, nothing super spec'd out.
Right.
And it handles the 4K 10-bit from the Mavic 2 Pro like butter. So, and I don't even do any, I don't use, I can't think of it. I don't, half res the footage to edit it or anything. It's raw footage and it runs fine.
My iPad, my iPad Pro, the iPad Pro, but I just recently got the iPad Air 3. Both of those handle the Mavic Pro video running LumaFusion with no issues at all. An iPad.
Right. Which, if I do have I haven't really tried any 6K footage from anybody yet, but I have tried 12-bit camera footage and like 4K 12-bit camera footage, and that has slowed that down a little bit. But that footage was also like 400 megabits per second footage too, so it was packing a lot of info.
Did you see? I like this comment Bill's putting up there by Sean. He said the 265 is almost half the size of the 264. Great comment, Sean.
Yeah.
Damn good thing, because you're gonna be shooting 8K. That's twice as much.
Yeah. That adds up there, Sean.
Actually, I think it's 4 times as much. It's cubed.
But anyway, I was being sarcastic.
Your math is right, Ethan. Yeah.
But yeah, the 6K camera, it would be okay. So I've heard price points all over the place.
Yeah, what have you heard?
I've heard base for the 6K base camera was like $17.99.
Okay, so right on par with the Mavic 2 Pro,
but better.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly, but better. and that and the thing about it is what blows my mind is that looks so much like a miniaturized, unique gimbal to me. I'm just like, that looks just like it came off of what was it, the Q500?
Right.
But it's just miniaturized. That's what it looks like to me, that little ball.
Well, maybe Unique partnered with him on the gimbals.
I'm excited for the infrared, the interchangeable gimbals. I hope it is going to be interchangeable, like it looks like it's going to be. But the infrared with the 8K camera, I think the police departments and fire departments are going to eat that thing up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I want to stop Ethan. Interchangeable. That's a word. It's interchangeable by who? By the end user or by the factory? They don't specify.
Right.
Who's interchanging this?
That's okay for me. I just got to drive 15 minutes.
Yeah. Drop it off. Go get lunch.
You should drive up and
No. Wait. Y'all keep talking. I'm gonna love this.
Hey, Ethan. So, do you still have an Evo? I know you used to, right? Or do you still have it?
No, I let it go. I sold it probably about I want to say back in May. Okay. So I had it for a good 6 months, and I absolutely loved it. The only reason that I sold it is because I wanted to get more drones.
Well, while we're on that's a good reason. I do the same thing. While we're on the subject, listen, B&H Photo and DeMarco brought this up yesterday. They're selling that version of the Evo with 2 batteries and a carrying bag for $999.
Yeah, that's a great deal.
That is a huge deal. When you think about what, say, the Mavic Air at $919, which would you rather have?
Oh yeah, the Evo all day long.
Yeah.
I still say if you don't want a color grade and you want a very high-end drone that does really, really good footage and you don't want to get into color grading, that Evo, as in my opinion, looks the best straight out of the camera out of any drone that's out right now.
Wow. Hey, I want to build a comment that Bill made a while ago about what are you going to edit this 8K video on? The bigger question is, what are you going to watch this 8K video on, Ethan?
Well, see, this is the thing about uploading to YouTube and the way YouTube compresses and all that stuff. Anytime you can upload something that's higher quality to YouTube, it's going to output higher quality. It's going to look better. So if I can get my hands on 6K or 8K footage and use that in a YouTube video, I'm going to do it because it's going to look better.
Good point.
Okay, this is what I'm going to do next week after my daughter's bowling class. I'm going to get a big poster board, and I'm going to stand right outside their corporate office, and I'm going to hold this up. Wait a minute. Oh, come on. Wait. No. Wait. Can you see? Yeah, here we go. There we go.
Yeah.
Right.
I like it.
Yeah, you need to swap by their video and ask them questions right on the spot.
Well, the thing about it is it kills me I literally, guys, I drive within a quarter mile of their corporate office every Tuesday when I take her over there because whether it be to her, the place she has class or to one of the facilities, because it's always right there. And then I drive across the bridge and get on 405 and turn and come back up towards Everett. And I'm like a quarter of a mile because it's like there's a shrub of trees right over the hill and it's right there. And I've just never gone over there.
You should fly your Zino over there and have it land right on the roof and tell them you got to go get it.
Or no. Fly it up to the windows and just have it look like it's a corporate spy.
Right. Yeah, maybe if you do it with a DJI drone and put Mavic 3 on the arm, they'll release it faster.
Yeah, they'll come running out the door.
Right.
Security will come up. What are you doing with that drone, son? You don't have permission to fly here. Running.
So while we're talking about not permission to fly anywhere, I recently went out to Scottsdale, Arizona over Thanksgiving, and I flew everywhere. And I live in Baltimore, and I've never had a problem flying around here ever. The only people approach me, ask me questions like, hey, that's so cool. What's it like? But Scottsdale, Arizona is the first time that I was flying, and I actually ran into issues.
What about Cuba?
Well, that was a long time ago, and that was I think that was even before we had no fly zones.
Okay.
Hey, Ethan, so I can speak to a little bit of Arizona. Arizona, because my brother, I go down there sometimes too, and so I researched it. They actually have a law that says, a state law, I should say, that says localities cannot regulate where you can fly and not fly drones. Furthermore, they have a caveat in there that says the localities have to provide a city park that is for drone flying.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't run into any kind of problems where the police were involved, but I did run into people that would come up to me and they were just very blatantly rude straight out of the gates. Like, what are you doing? You can't fly that here. Just kind of like, I'm like, okay, hold on. I said, let me bring it down. So I could talk to you. And then I explained to him, look, I'm a Part 107 pilot. I have my license right here with me. I said the FAA says, and I showed him the air, my Kitty Hawk app. I said, I'm in this area. Yes, I'm in controlled airspace, but I've got approval up to 300 feet, in which I'm good. And they said, oh, that doesn't matter. It's the law. It says right on the signs. And I was like, there are no signs around here that say you can't fly in a drone. And even if there were, technically the FAA rules the airspace. So, and I just explained that to him and, and they just, went walking down the trail and everything. But yeah. And, I wasn't in any kind of national parks or anything like that. So, but I even had one person threatened. They were like, well, I'll shoot it out of the sky. I was like, okay, I'll leave.
Dude. Yeah.
Really.
I didn't want to get into how it's a federal offense to shoot one down, but
yeah, that would have.
I had a situation the other day, Ethan, where I was at a park and a guy accosted me, and he was a Part 107 flyer, and he was giving me a hard time. I mean, he was like in my face, and finally I just had to tell, and I had the drone up in the air this whole time, right?
Right.
And it was perfectly legal. I had the Before You Fly app that showed that it was legal to fly there, and everything was good. And he really was getting very belligerent. And I finally just said, you know what? If you don't stop, I'm calling 911 because you're harassing me. And then he left.
Interesting. So what was his reasoning behind it? Did he say?
You know what? I'll tell you, he was a Part 107. He stuck his Part 107 license in my face.
Oh my.
Yeah. And he and I think that he resented that I was a hobby pilot, and that I'm somehow interfering with his grand knowledge of drone flying or something. I really,
the thing, I'm just getting this was really like, Wicked Witch of the West type thing, and he flashes his 107 at you. I'm melting.
That's not what it was, Bill.
I don't know. What were you supposed to kneel before him and go, "Yes, sire"?
But the fortunate thing was I had my Canon M50 on the tripod right there, and it recorded the whole thing.
Oh my, that's funny.
Yeah,
it's interesting. You would think so I live in downtown Baltimore. Well, not downtown. I'm just out the outside of Baltimore along the water. And I fly in town all the time. We fly all over the place. And I never have a problem. Never. If anybody comes up to me, they're like, oh my God, that's so cool.
That's usually what I get too.
And I'm out here in Arizona in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just walking along some of these trails, because they've got these trails all over the place out there. Yeah. And I'm just walking, and then I'm just flying around, and the people just walk up to me off the trail. I'm like, are you serious? I was like, I get better comments from the homeless people in Baltimore than I do out there.
Ethan, I'm willing to bet that was just luck of the draw.
Well, it happened 3 times on 3 different days. And then to the point where I was thinking, am I wrong? Am I wrong? And then I'm like, then I go back to our to the place where we're staying. I pull it up on the computer and try to research it, and I'm like, everything I could find said nothing about you can't fly in these certain areas. So
yeah.
Did y'all see where Sean was talking about the Monster energy drink?
Yeah.
And I was coming back to say, if anybody's ever followed Drone Therapy in the 3 seasons it's been on, I have a problem with monsters. I've even had people in the chat get concerned. Bill, how many of you had of those already? But
we always assumed they were the corporate sponsor of the show.
Yeah, we have no corporate sponsor, just us, and having a fun and enjoyable time talking about drones. And I'm going to go put this back in there. And sorry to interrupt,
Bill. Before you leave, Marcus, you're forgetting to tell the best part of this story. Tell them where you were flying.
Well, yeah. So I was at that bike park that
Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle.
I don't remember Kyle's. They say Kyle, the guy has a Skydio. Kyle, the championship off-road bicycler and Skydio 2 owner. Park. Bill, guess where Marcus was flying that drone where he got accosted by the overzealous pilot?
I think Bill's lost us here for a second.
Are you fired in yet?
No, yeah. I'm plugged in now. Why? What did I miss?
Marcus wants to tell you where he was flying the drone when he got accosted.
Well, I was at that park where Kyle was flying the Skydio 2 at. Same park, the bicycle park. That's where I was at.
Oh, whoa! No way!
Yeah.
Okay, so is Adrian getting to taste it? Talk to you guys later. Okay, Adrian, good night. Glad to have you in here. Yeah, pipeline punch. I don't think I've had the pipeline punch.
Interesting. I tell you what, though, when I was out in Arizona, we did go on this Indian preservation, and I asked the tour guides there. I was like, "Hey, can I pull out a drone and fly it around a little bit?" And they're just like, "Yeah, sure, that'll be fine." But I didn't say which one I was going to pull out, so I ended up pulling out one of the FPV drones and just ripping that thing all over the place. And then within 2 minutes, they're like, "No, you got to bring that down." Because those things are just crazy fast, crazy loud. And it feels like you're ripping the sky apart,
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
That my wife was like, "What are you there?" She was like, "Why the hell did you do that one?" I was like, "Well, they said yeah," so I was like, "All right, let's do it."
And he probably threw a 6S battery in there too, just for.
Oh yeah, it was yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, so yeah, it was definitely shredding some air, man.
Oh yeah.
But the thing about it that I have to admit, and I think everybody here knows that kind of gives you a super jolt of adrenaline when you hear that rip.
Oh yeah. Well, the Indian guy was like, "Well, I'm just worried that birds are going to attack it." I said, "Trust me, dude, they're not going to attack this one." I said, "Even if they do, they'll be shredded into pieces."
The other thing about that Ethan, as I hear people talking about birds attacking drones, and I'm sure they do, but I fly out there at the Snake River Canyon where there are a ton of raptors of all kinds, hawks, eagles, falcons, and they just ignore the drones. I've never even had one even look at it.
Yeah, I've never ever had a problem either. I've only had, when I was flying a Phantom 4 one time, I had a few like sparrows like swoop at it, but they never actually hit it. I mean, because it's bigger than they are. But I've never had eagles, or I've never had a problem. Yeah. I'm sure it does happen though. I'm sure it does, but I've never had a problem.
We've seen videos of it happening. I'm just saying I've never seen it. And I even asked, I have a good friend of mine that is he's an executive with the Birds of Prey facility out there. And I asked him about it. And I said, is it a problem with that drone causing any problems for the birds? And he said, Marcus, he goes, we're using drones to check nests for eggs now.
Right.
He said, what we used to have to do was have people rappel down those cliffs to check those nests. He goes, now we just fly a drone out there. We can look and see.
Yep. When we were in Costa Rica, one of the park guides told me that they were getting a bunch of paradinophes to like monitor animals and everything.
Yeah.
That reminds me. So last summer there was some kind of like researcher that contacted me that they've got a couple paradinophes in Africa, and he wanted to know how they could set up the flight, the mission waypoint missions, so it could fly out to like 5 miles and then come back and just take pictures, so they could do photogrammetry to make a map and monitor animals that way. So that's pretty interesting that they were using that.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So help me out. Battery power, could it do it?
I told him that it probably couldn't go out that far. I said he probably could definitely do a mile and a half, but also asked him, I said, how wide of a, width do you want? And he said, and basically they wanted as wide as you could get. So I said, you just go up higher and have it snap photos. So,
well, you know what they need? They need the Skydio 2 with that remote bay.
They do.
They could just stick that bad boy out there.
So I don't know why they chose the Anafi. I mean, I'm assuming because it had the stuff they needed, but it seemed to me that was a drone that they could get available in their country pretty easily. So they're on the west side of Africa. I don't remember what country it was, but
yeah, maybe they get a lot of their goods from France.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, I'll be right back, guys.
And Bill, did you see Whizbang 99 is working on a corporate sponsorship for
Sean? Yeah, he's working on corporate sponsorship for Sean. I'm the one that drinks Monster every week. Sean just gets 10,000 views on a video and he's special. Come on, man.
Hey, Sean did a knockout job at Spin Up. He was the presenter. He was the final presenter, and he just did a great job. I mean, his speech presentation, just really, we could relate to it. Whatever. I really enjoyed.
Oh no, I have every bit of respect for him. I think that it's a unique combination, the tattoo and drone connection kind of thing, which is very interesting and unique. And hey, if he can get Monster sponsorship, maybe they can give us a coupon here and there. We can give out. We'll be like, hey, we'll give like 50-cent coupons for Monsters 4-pack. That's our sponsorship. Hey, maybe we could give a hat away once in a while, or a T-shirt. Hey, I'll even take a somebody else's T-shirt if they want us to give it away. So something I wanted to do, I wanted to do this. I told the guys about it earlier, and I'm just waiting on Marcus to get back so that I can do it. So keep on talking about whatever y'all were talking about.
Well, they were talking about a lot of birds in the chat. They talk about seagulls, and I can attest to that. I mean, I've never been attacked by, I won't even say attacked by seagulls, but the only time a bird ever got close to the drone I was flying was a seagull. And they weren't really attacking it. They were just flying close by. But I mean, I think twice I've got the camera, a seagull right in front of the camera.
Mm.
So I can attest to the seagull conversation.
Chula Vista Police is the first to use Skydio 2. Oh, very cool. So it's actually in service. It's kind of funny that Ron brought that up. I want to tell you something real. Oh, those do look sharp.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I was going to say anybody interested in getting the DJI FPV system, they had killer sales on it over the weekend.
Really?
And oh yeah, it was like awesome deals. But they recently released a update Monday that gives all the beta, not all, 24 of the Betaflight OSD features, and it lets you record the AVN for those guys that still want to use like analog and have it piped in through the AV system. And apparently it proves the latency on the AV system as well. So, but yeah, I bought a third air unit because they had a sale on those also. So I'm slowly converting my drones over, and it's just such a great system. I just love flying it. It's great.
Well, I wanted to go back to where Ron was talking about that he had never been accosted by, would you say, swallows? Here's the thing, man. I had just gotten the Phantom 4 Pro. Basically took it up probably about 50 feet in my backyard. Mm-hmm. 2 huge Canadian geese came flying in right underneath it, man. And that's the closest of any kind of bird. And I've actually put it, it's in one of my early videos on the channel that you can see him come gliding in. It's I think it's done to the Grateful Dead's Eyes of the World Live. So it's pretty cool. It's got a steal face for my logo that's got the steal your face with the Phantom 4 in the middle of it. So if you check that out, on my channel, it's actually, you can see the geese flying underneath the Phantom 4, and it's pretty good because I slowed it down probably, I don't know, 3 times, 4 times, so you can actually see them come flying underneath. So with that being said, there was something I wanted to do, and I was waiting on Marcus to get back, and I haven't done it in a couple of weeks. Okay, I'll wait till my wife gets the phone calls. Okay, just keep talking. We'll get past the phone call round, and then I'll go on.
That story about the police using the Skydio 2, that Joan DJ had that story today on his weekly email. If anybody wants to look the details up.
Now, what was this? Say that again.
Remember, right before you read the story, somebody posted that a police department was using the Skydio.
Oh, yes. Jay Santiago was talking about the police were the first ones to be using that. And I also just wanted to holler out at 400 AGL. I can see Lon Denard is in here also. Glad to have you all gentlemen in here. What I wanted to do, hopefully, and I know the phone's probably going to ring again here in a second, but I wanted to do this. I hadn't done a weekly shout out in a couple of weeks. So I want to do this. And I wanted to give the weekly shout out to John Cuppi, who, like I said, he's at home spending time with family right now. If it wasn't for John, John basically has become my right arm here. He's always talking to me. When we're not on cam, we're always trying to come up with ideas and little mini shows, I guess you would say, to come up with something that's more interesting to you all and everything. And, without John, y'all be bored to tears with just me all the time, begging other people to come and talk. And I'd end up talking most of the time, kind of like now. And then they'd all be like, wish Bill would shut up so we could say something once in a while. But anyway, I just wanted to say thank you, John Cuppi, and we hope to see you back very soon. Totally understand you needed a rest after all them crazy holidays and stuff, brother. And we want you to come back, and we love you to death, and I can't live without you. Okay. So, okay, now since I've really made the show awkward, what do we want to talk about? Let's go back to Zino. Let's go back to Mavic Mini. What do we want to say?
Well, I'll wrap up about my firmware. Because Marcus has been doing such great testing, my Zino's been locked in at 1.152 or whatever, which came out, I'm going to say, in June. I've been locked in and haven't touched it since then. I think we had a lot of people make comments on the ZinoNation show Monday night, and that 1.152.
Oh, Skydio.
Famous flight controller, right, Marcus?
Say again, Ron. I missed that for just a second there.
Just taking a random sample, people in the chat Monday night on the ZinoNation show, a lot of people seem to like the 1.152 flight controller.
They do, and it is. It's the flight control. 1.1.52 is a great version of the flight control on the Zino. 1.2.04 was a step towards the recognizing the batteries, and then this this latest one did a couple things. It gives you that battery warning, and it also changes the way the return to home works. If it's closer than, I think, 20 meters, it will not ascend to your return to home altitude. It'll just come right back to you and land. Those are small things. I also am going to say that I noticed it seems to me to be more stable. Now, could that be because I flew it on a day when there was less wind or something? Maybe, but one of the things about the Zino that's always been there is that it dives in turns, and it kind of moves around a little bit when it hovers. Seems to me like they've made great strides in that department, and it has no optical flow or any sonic sensors or anything to know where the ground is. So they've improved that a lot. 1.1.52 is the one a lot of people like, and if you like it, good, leave it right there.
Mm-hmm. I think the Zino, for not having any kind of ground sensors, I think it does a great job.
It's improved a lot, Ethan. You should have seen it in the early.
I was saying on Monday night. I remember when I first got the Zino before it got the first update or second update. When you used to take it off, it not only had the hups and drop. I wasn't even locked in GPS. I mean, it had to be in the air maybe like 30 seconds or a minute before it grabbed GPS lock. And I know that I'm coming from a person. I flew fully manual out to whole drone, so I knew it wasn't a GPS lock because I was actually flying it for a matter of 30 seconds to a minute, whatever, and then would finally get its GPS lock or whatever. So it didn't even immediately have GPS right out of the box.
Hey, can I expand a little bit on part of what makes the Zino an interesting choice as opposed to, say, the Mavic Mini? Mm-hmm. So the Zino, while it the flight controls and everything is not in the same league with the Mini, but it has the firmware, the automated flight things that it can do are way more sophisticated than the Mini. For instance, let's take an orbit as an example. You can either use the remote control as the point of interest for the orbit, which is handy sometimes, really easy and quick, or you can optically set a point of interest. So you could fly it out, way out someplace, draw a POI, and it will orbit that. The Mini will not do that. And in fact, with the Mini today, I had a bunch of batteries, so I did a helix with it, and I was standing right next to the picnic shelter out there at Heroes Park. And as soon as the Mini lost the picture of me, the point of interest box, it went wild. It just took off another direction, and it kind of started searching for another target. And of course, I hit stop. What I would rather it do is just go into a hover, but it doesn't. So you got to be aware of that with that Mini.
And also, our friend Brian Singleton over True Drone Reviews, who's probably not here with this thing because he's been installing his furnaces and he's probably tired. But he did a video just recently where he's showing the droney. One of Marcus's favorite features is the droney. Of course, he used it as a manual droney, but Brian did a droney, and he only went like 100 feet away from him or whatever. It was the shortest droney you've ever seen, and it was no way to change that default setting of like 100 feet or whatever, because he was like, well, it didn't even go anyplace. Drone, you want to keep going and get that dramatic, thing, and it doesn't go that far. So, yeah, you're right. The intelligent flight modes on this, again, they're beginner. Maybe that's a good a drone for a beginner.
Wait a minute. Here's something I want to see here, because if you didn't notice earlier, Josh asked Ethan if he'd ever flown a Zino, and then I saw this reply. So I'm. What do you think? What do you think, Ethan?
I think it does pretty good.
What do you think of the picture quality, or did you really pay that much attention to it?
Oh, I didn't take the footage home.
Oh, wow!
But Marcus sent me footage from it before, so I think the footage that Marcus sent me looked great.
Yeah, I've been happy with it and everything. So here's the thing. So what was the reasoning that people were saying not to update the flight controller?
I don't know.
There wasn't an actual. I mean, was there power fluctuations? Was there? Now the camera issue, we all know when they did that with the updated firmware, they cut the bit rate down and it kind of went horrible. So everybody stuck with the other camera firmware. I get that and everything. Okay,
so what happened this time, Bill, of course, was the gimbal firmware. They messed that up and you had to roll back to the old one. So, maybe people have seen those kind of things with Hubsan, so they're just afraid to update. I don't know. For my part, I always like to update because I want to see what it does, and if you're updating, it's supposed to be an improvement. We know it isn't always, but you can always roll back to the older version. So why not?
Yep. Totally understood. Totally understood.
Can I jump subjects for a second? I want to ask Ethan a question. We talked about this Monday night on ZinoNation. We talked about you also, and you talked about you edited Marcus's Zino footage. Have you ever edited footage from the Fimi X8 drone?
No, I haven't.
Which has 100 bit rate on. I think it's a standard 4K camera. What is it, like the 1 2/3 sensor size? But I'm going to be getting the Fimi X8 in for review here sometime in the near future. I'd like to send you a clip and have you look at it and see how you think it compares to other 100 bit rate 4K drones.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep. And while we're talking about like bit rates and resolutions and all that stuff, what I find very interesting is that, even though everybody, the new hotness, hopefully we'll see, is the Evo 2 with 6K and the 8K, they haven't said what the color bit depth is going to be yet. Right. So I'm really hoping it's at least 10 bit because, your eye notices the color detail more so than the resolution detail.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, you could say like, if you had 10 bit 1080p, technically your eye is going to perceive that looks better than 4K 8-bit.
Gotcha.
So,
and also another question is the 100 bit rate that we're seeing on the high end drones. Do you think anytime we're going to see more than 100 bit? Like, will this Evo possibly be a higher bit rate?
Oh yeah. Well, Lon just commented in the chat, 120 megabits, 10 bits. So that's going to be really nice.
Right. I mean, like for instance, like 100 bit rate. My Olympus Mirrorless camera has like almost 350 bit rate in video.
Right. I hope we do someday. I think they definitely could, but I almost wonder if it's not the sensor or the processor. I almost wonder if it's the battery, because having to process that much more data is going to take away from flight time.
And it has a 7200 milliamp battery. It's huge.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited about. They said 18 or 16 miles or something like that. That's
16 miles. That was wild. Yeah.
16 miles or whatever. Yeah. So you could set on you could do a mission planner and just go inside and eat dinner and then come out when it comes back, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that. I'll be honest with you. I don't even push the range of the Anafi hardly ever. So the only reason I really like the OcuSync on the Mavic 2 is that it just punches through just about anything. You can fly inside your car, past the woods, no problem.
Right.
So let me jump back in real quick. Jay was talking about that he had ordered a pullover hoodie and a cup. I posted this earlier. I just thought it was kind of something cool. It's an inexpensive t-shirt. If anybody's interested, we don't really make a whole lot. I think like 10 cents a shirt, maybe. It's like, I think $11 even. If anybody's interested, it says, "Who needs therapy?" And it's the Drone Therapy logo. It's kind of a cool little t-shirt and stuff. Feel free to check it out and everything. Something I wanted to switch over to, since we kind of really droned it to death, is we've got some new software that just came out. If anybody hasn't checked it out, be sure to check out Luminar 4. Luminar 4. You've got all kinds of AI tech in it. It's got sky replacement. The only thing that I've got an issue with right now is they've kind of got a limited number of skies you can replace it with, although you can kind of manipulate those skies in a lot of different ways. The AI has advanced even further now. You can basically just take a basic picture out of your camera, throw it in there, a couple of quick slides, and you've got a pretty near, professional quality picture without a whole lot of effort and work. And if you want to, you can always go further. It's got all the extra little tools. You got dodge and burn, all this stuff like that you can go in depth with, adjustment layers, all that stuff, good and stuff too. But for someone that is not very proficient in doing all this stuff, it's a great piece of software, and it's inexpensively priced. So check out Luminar 4, and also please check out any of your other softwares. You got a lot of people use the Cyberlink company with Power Director, Photo Director, and those. They got suites going on. They've all got discount prices for their Black Friday sales, and at the end of the year, they're also going to have discount sales too. Probably checking out Adobe too, if they've probably got some stuff going on. Not 100% sure about that, but Adobe always comes up with some unique specials towards this time of year. Also, HitFilm just recently came out with their updated version, HitFilm Pro 14. Got a lot of new stuff in it. Foundry's got some tracking software in it. It's got all kinds of upgrades and stuff, so please check it out. I think they've got a sale going on for at least 2 or 3 more days because they extended their Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale. Anybody else want to talk about software or anything else?
Mel in the chat asked how much Luminar 4 is, and I since I only paid the upgrade cost, I don't know what it actually costs for a new user.
Let's see. I'm thinking
79. Is that right?
I think if they still might be having a sale. I think it was $59 for a special sale, but you might be right. Let me see. So it's under Skylum.com, right? Yeah, right. I think so. Skylum. I don't know what I'm gonna. Let's see if I just get a basic price where I don't sign in. You can $79 and you get 2 LUT packs. You can choose what you want. So for $79, you get the base software plus 2 of their peripherals. You can get I think it's called PDF Expert for Mac OS, Exposure. I don't know. Well, okay. Here's Pack of Skies for $25. That is cool. I didn't know. That's the only thing. And then we got Signature Looks, so kind of more LUT looks and everything. Envira Gallery, Clip Champ. You would have to check it out and see what you might be interested in. They've got some different bundles and stuff up there.
79 is about the ballpark price for a first new user, somebody not upgrading. Okay, good.
Oh, yeah,
hey, Bill, for replacing the skies. I know I've seen you chat a little bit about this, but can you add your own skies, or do you have to choose from theirs?
I haven't gotten that in depth into it. Like you saw the other day, I took that sunset that I recorded on Facebook from my phone, and I made that new picture. So I've got so many different things going on, like because everybody is getting close to Christmas time. So you're trying to think about what packages you're going to get for what family member, and what stuff you got to get done before Christmas. And I've sat down for a couple of minutes, looked at it, and realized I had something more important to do. So I haven't gotten that far into it.
Right.
But I really like that picture that I made. I was really
very nice.
For anybody that uses Final Cut Pro or Adobe Premiere, Motion Effects has 30% off all their plugins and templates. If you when you go to checkout, put Black 30 in the coupon area.
Black 30.
Their effects are freaking awesome, but they're expensive, but they're really good.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very, very cool. Very, very cool.
Hey,
anything else? What? Go ahead.
I was just looking in the chat there. RC Funds Diversions has a question for Ron, or did we already hit that?
Hang on.
Hey, Ron, so do you think the Zino is a good buy if you own a Parrot Bebop 2? Well, you know what? I'm going to throw this question over to Marcus because he's actually flown the Bebop 2 and the Zino, and I haven't.
They both have advantages and disadvantages, but I would take the Zino any day of the week because it's 4K as opposed to 1080p with the Bebop 2, and because it has a mechanical gimbal.
The other one's all electronic.
It's all electronic. I have to tell you, though, that Bebop 2, it worked remarkably well. It's phenomenal how well that works. But the Zino, because of the mechanical gimbal and the 4K, for sure.
And well, we will throw, and you can probably get that Bebop too for what a little bit less than the Zino also.
I'm not sure, Ron. So I've seen them here locally, probably the same or more. I've looked on Amazon. I think the cheapest I've seen them is like $230, $240. And of course, they're hard to find new.
Because I think it's a discontinued product.
Well, not just that. Yeah, the whole point is the aftermarket batteries and how much of a guarantee they're going to last that long. You know, what the cells are, because they're aftermarket, how long the cells are going to hold integrity. So
it's a really cool drone, though, the Bebop 2. It's
yeah.
I enjoyed Brian at True Drone Reviews loaned me his. He mailed it across the country to me, and yeah, I had a lot of fun flying that thing around.
So we covered a bunch tonight. We've been on for right at an hour and 20 minutes. I am very grateful for having these gentlemen on. If there's anything else that someone in the chat wants to bring up or that these gentlemen would like to discuss, I think we'll start to wind her up. Anything, folks?
Nope.
Okay, so I'm going to surge ahead, and next week, Ethan's going to be in the command chair again. Next week, we're going to have our money shot episode. So everyone is more than welcome to come in and give us your opinions and what your money shots are. We're not telling anyone that whatever show or advice that we come up with is what you have to do. It's just what we like to do because we love flying drones, and we love sharing the fact that we love flying drones with everyone else. We are not experts. I don't claim to be an expert. I just like playing with software and making all kinds of pretty colors and stuff. So, yes. So please join us next week where Ethan's going to kind of go over your 5, 6, 4, 5, 6. What do you say?
Got 5.
We're going to go over his 5 most favorite money shots, and then we'll go back around with the chat and stuff like that. We would also like to invite you gentlemen back next week. So if you would be interested in sharing your perspective on what you consider to be your favorite money shots, then we would love to have you back next week as well. But we're basically going to have Ethan kind of give us his point of view because he's got some stuff racked up for us. If you all want to get a hold of Ethan during the week, maybe, and throw him some footage and stuff, I'm sure he would be game for that also, so that we could get some of your money shot input. So that's fantastic. Right, folks? What do you think?
Yeah. In fact, if you guys want to send me your money shots, you can send it to this email right here.
There it is.
Okay, yes, broadreachpro@gmail.com. It'll come up for us here in just a little bit on this side of the pond. And so with that being said, please join us next week for Money Shot. Hopefully we're going to get John back for our final Christmas show. Hopefully we're going to get UAV Medic in. If not, we'll just kind of have an all-around Christmas episode towards the end. And then we're going to end season 3 with the week before Christmas, and then we're going to come back after the new year with season 4. So please, everyone, come back and join us next week. And I'm going to pass it around the room. First, I will give it to our guest. I'm going to throw it over to Marcus Crawford.
Hey, Bill, mostly just thanks for having me on tonight. It was a great show. I mean, we covered a ton of territory tonight, and I thought it was a really good chatting. We had an active folks in the chat room with some good questions too. I'm going to get back after we're done here to editing my Mavic Mini video.
Okay, and I'm going to throw it to Ron.
Thank you, Bill. Thanks for the invite tonight. It was a great show tonight. As Marcus said, we covered a lot of topics tonight, and I think I learned a lot, and I hope people in chat learned a lot, and we had a good chat in here. A lot of people in here, very active chat. So, that was great, and it's always great to do the show with Ethan. I always learn something from Ethan every time I'm on the show. So with no further ado, I'm going to actually try to throw it to Ethan, Bill.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Throw it to Ethan.
All right. Thanks, guys, for coming in. I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us. It's been a great chatting with everybody. It's always a good time having Marcus and Ron around. I love talking to those guys. And it's great. Just real great to have everybody around. I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving, and looking forward to seeing everybody again next week. So thanks.
Okay, and I'm very grateful, as always, to have everybody here. Please, I want everybody to tell John how much we missed him and we need him to come back because he's an integral part of drone therapy. And make sure you get over to John's channel and tell him we miss you on drone therapy, but also watch as many videos as you can on his channel so he knows how much we miss him. Okay, so with that being said, folks, I hope to see everybody back next week. Live long and prosper. Peace.